So for me, it was very traumatic. I think I blamed myself, even though now as an adult, I know that wasn't my fault.
A lot of people, especially when my dad died, they were saying things like, oh, you have to be strong for your mum. But I think that's a really horrible thing to say, to be honest, because I feel like it's okay to go through the emotions that you go through, because that's the only way to process it. Like, you've literally just lost your dad.
Yeah.
I'm not going to try and be strong.
I leaned on God at the same time. I questioned him a lot.
Yeah.
So, and I know that is normal because I basically was like, I don't get this. Why would you do that? Why would you take him away from us now? Why would you do this? I feel like here, the UK, as a black woman, as a dark-skinned black woman, be it at that as well, sometimes they limit us, they put us in a glass box.
It's very important that whether you're white, black, brown, whatever, if you're dealing with people of different races, different cultures, educate yourself on that culture,
Absolutely.
educate yourself on that race, so that you know what works best. Just because you say you can do a black girl's makeup doesn't mean you can.
No.
Like, you're actually that girl. Love real women stories that help you grow? Hit subscribe and follow, and let's level up together. Now back to the episode. Welcome. I'm Paula Oyinko, and this is the Paula Oyinko Show, where our mission is to inspire women like you to become the best version of yourselves at every stage of life. Today, I'm really excited because I'm joined by award-winning actor and model, Vanessa Vanderpuye. And guys, I've got to refer to my cards here because the accolades are accoladed, okay? So, she recently won Best Actor at the ABFF 2023 for her role in the acclaimed film A Song from the Dark. She starred in hit shows like Sky's Bulletproof and Venus vs. Mars. And she's also been breaking barriers in the modeling world. And she's worked with brands such as L'Oreal and Adidas. And to be honest, that's not even all of them. There was more. I couldn't fit it on the card. But Vanessa, before we get into who you really are, I'm going to get you to pick a card
Okay.
from the conversation card deck.
Ooh, let me go here. So do I read it out?
Yeah, read it out and then
Okay.
answer the question.
So what are your thoughts on the glass ceiling and how to break it? Oh, that is a loaded question. But that is a really good question. So for me, the glass ceiling is the reason why I'm trying to get out of the UK. And I'm trying to go to the US. And as controversial as America is, and every day I look at the timeline and I'm like, why am I going again? Why? But I know it's my purpose. I know that this is my passion. And every time I go there, I don't know how to describe it. It's just a feeling that resonates with my soul that I know that I'm supposed to be here and that the barrier is broken over there. There's no glass ceiling. The sky is literally the limit when I'm over there. I feel like here, the UK, as a black woman, as a dark-skinned black woman, be it at that as well, sometimes they limit us. They put us in a glass box. They create all these borders and what type of black women should be represented here and there. And I don't feel that as such in America. I feel like colorism exists everywhere, but I feel like they are a bit more open, especially in the TV film industry in comparison to the UK.
I feel like you just spit out all the gems and all the like truths as well.
Yeah.
And I'm going to touch on some of the things that you've just mentioned, but let's, in your own words, who is Vanessa Vanderpuye, just so that people can really get to know you?
Sure. Well, Vanessa Vanderpuye, I'm, as I said, an actress, award-winning actress, which we thank God. I didn't even know I was up for this award. So it was amazing. It's such a humbling experience. But again, it was such a reminder that when you do put your faith in God and you are disciplined and you follow the path and you're faithful, things will just show up in ways that you can't describe. So I was thinking by the end of 2023, if I'm not where I want to be, I'm going to have to go with my plan B. And that was my reward. So for me, it was eye-opening that, okay, Lord, I'm sorry, let me stay faithful. I know that this is just the beginning. So for me, it just gave me another zest to continue what I'm doing. As you said as well, I also do commercial modeling, which I fell into, but I absolutely love because I've got to work with the most amazing brands and still do that in between. The turnover is so much faster, so I do love that. But I love acting. Like that is what I love to do at my core, and that's what I can't wait to get my teeth into my next role.
What was your plan B?
My plan B was to have my own hairline, which I
Oh,
still will
okay.
do because that's been my passion since I was a kid. I've been doing hair since I was 8, 9. I have 3 younger sisters, so they've
Oh,
been
you're
the best
busy.
models. And my mum, God bless her, was just awful at doing our hair. We just looked like Coolio at every school picture. It was awful until Black Beauty magazine came out and Ebony magazine, and I'm thinking, wow, like, look how beautiful our hair is. Look how beautiful our hair can move. It can do this, it can do that. So I started experimenting, and I just have a knack for it naturally. So I'm always doing my own hair on set as well because in the UK there is an issue here still.
Yeah.
But again, I love educating my audience as well as to what is working for me when I was going through my natural hair journey 8 years ago. So yeah, for me, I absolutely love it. So that's something I definitely still will work on. It's just hard to focus on that as well as
Yeah.
my career as well.
I still feel like it kind of aligns with your career in the sense that obviously later on when you've got a bit more time, you could release your hairline.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
there's definitely maybe it's just more like a on pause kind of situation for
Yeah,
now.
exactly.
Yeah. But I wanted
Exactly.
to ask about also your experience on set as a black woman, because obviously you've touched on that. What
Mhm.
is it like being a black woman in the acting world, especially a dark skinned black woman? What is your experience of that?
Oh, well, I think I was pleasantly surprised because I thought the more my brand was growing or the bigger the production, you would expect that they would have certain contingencies in place. And the hard truth was no, there wasn't. But at the same time, I think with each experience, it's just made me more resilient. It's made me more it's made me voice my opinion more as well and not be scared to voice it. I feel like there's a way that you can say something, and it's not what you say, is how you say it, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I feel like you can still be firm, you can still let people know that, hey, this is not this is not conducive to me, my family. This is not representation of my family, especially on Bulletproof, for example. My whole family was black. I was Ashley Walter's wife. My 2 kids, they were dark skinned, beautiful girls. But at the same time, we were all there with our edge control,
Oh, that's
with our
horrible.
creams, with the foundations. So we were having to do our own thing. They even created a time slot for me to do my own makeup in the beginning. And our call times was early as 4:30 in the morning. And then you get a new script. And so, what am I supposed to prioritize? My script, my base, my hair, making sure my twist out is on point. That is respectfully not my job. But at the same time, we have to be patient. It's not our job, but we have to be patient enough and explain to the people, the production team, the casting directors, um, whoever is involved of choosing the people that need to be making sure that we are safe on set, that our hair is okay, and they actually know how to do black hair, not just employing anybody who says they can do it. Because the same way I have to go through loops and bounds to make sure I'm right for the role, I feel like that should apply to people behind the scenes as well.
Absolutely. And I want to rewind and remove that respectfully because it's not your job, period. It's not.
Right.
Like you said, if they're casting black families, they're casting black actors, you need to make sure that whatever you've got on set is conducive of that person. And
Absolutely.
I honestly feel like if you're going to be in a space where you're dealing with people who are different to you, you need to educate yourself.
Yeah.
I had a conversation with my sister recently about this actually, but it's very important that whether you're white, black, brown, whatever, if you're dealing with people of different races, different cultures, educate yourself on that culture,
Absolutely.
educate yourself
Yeah.
on that race so that you know what works best. Just because you say you can do a black girl's makeup doesn't mean you can,
No.
you know?
No. No.
So
No.
no, I don't like that at all. I don't like it.
Honestly, I
So
don't like it.
please
I
feel
just,
free.
yeah, on set, I pray, I take a deep breath, and then, yeah, if I feel uncomfortable, I will speak up and I'll just
Yeah.
let people know. And I'll try and work with you and try and educate you as well. So I think it works both ways. I feel like they need to be able to receive that as well, because
Yeah.
sometimes they can see it as a criticism, and it's not a criticism. I feel like it's a criticism on the whole industry as a whole. But personally, I feel like we should be able to have that relationship, and I should be able to say, hey, this is a bit too cool for me. Can we try this? This make me feel, you know. but sometimes they can, yeah, sometimes it's not received well. And other times it's been great, and they've been like, oh, they've got these new gems that they're now learning from to utilize and make the next person that looks like me feel less uncomfortable.
Yeah, I love that you speak up though. And how do you find the courage to speak up? Because I'm also assuming, even though you played a mother to an all black family,
Yeah,
I'm gonna assume that you're still the minority on set.
yeah.
So how do you find the courage to speak up as a black woman in an industry that is not necessarily designed for black women?
Right. I think for me, it's just through experience, through the tears, through the frustration, and sometimes going home and I'm like, I wish I said this, I wish I did this. And then me having to deal with the aftermath, that's what's more upsetting because I'm the one that's going to have to deal with my hair breaking, my hair falling out, heat damage, ruining my wigs on set, just all of that. And it's my brand. Like I want to look at my commercial or my film set and think, wow, like, and not just my performance, but I feel and I looked amazing. And I feel like it has a direct result on how you perform as well. If you don't feel your best, you're not going to act your best
Yeah.
either. So I feel like it goes hand in hand. So for me, it's, yeah, I just have to take a deep breath. And as I said, I think I'm very mindful of my words anyway. I think before I speak. And so I just try and just, yeah, speak to the right people and just let them know. And I just make it very clear that I'm not comfortable or can you do A, B, C, D? But I feel like we have to, if not now, then when? And I just
Yeah.
want it to be better. And I just feel like it's slowly getting there, but it's still very frustrating and it shouldn't be my job, like you said.
No, it really shouldn't be. And kind of in the same vein, but what are your views on colorism within the acting? And I would also say modeling industry.
Yeah. I feel like, again, I know sometimes they have a specific type of woman that they're trying to represent, or depends sometimes on the audience at the territory, the country that they're trying to portray this commercial or film in. So sometimes I think that plays a factor because I've often been casted as an African woman and I've done that same commercial, but for a mixed race couple. But not all countries you can't show that in Dubai, for example.
Yeah.
They wouldn't want a mixed race couple, especially a dark skinned woman like me. They would want someone who looks more ethnically ambiguous looking, who can look like she's um, from um, from Dubai or she's maybe from Morocco. So sometimes that's what they prefer. I think it is a problem in the TV film world specifically because I feel like you genuinely see the same people, especially in the UK. They recycle the same people. When they're thinking about a black woman, they generally aren't thinking about someone that looks like me, which is a big problem in the UK. I feel like when it comes to fashion, beauty, we're a bit more advanced. And so I think the darker, the better. So sometimes I'm actually even too light. So they would refer to someone who of a Sudanese, richer skin tone in the fashion beauty world. But again, sometimes you can tell and you can feel it when it's what's the word, when they're just choosing you to just fit as,
Token.
yeah, you're just a
Yeah.
token black girl or you're just a token um black person for this role specifically. So I feel like you can feel it, and I think it is a problem that needs to be addressed. And I feel like the more we speak up, then the more they're going to have to change their views. And the more that we have people that are represented like us behind the scenes that are challenging casting directors and producers to say, why not her? Why not Vanessa? Why not Deborah? Why not this person? Why not that person? And actually look at a broader spectrum of Black people and actually not just thinking that these are the only Black people in the UK.
Yeah.
There's so
Yeah.
many of us. And the reason why I even got Bulletproof is because I spoke up. I spoke to Noel Clark and I said to him, hey, how is your casting process? How do you look for someone that looks like me? And at the time, Lashana Lynch was getting all his roles, which was amazing. And I absolutely love her. She's on my vision board. I was like, I want to be just like her. Like she was doing her ish in the UK at the time. And now obviously she's broken through to Hollywood. So I used her as an example before she got Marvel. And he was like, oh, um, he was like, say that again. And I was a bit scared because I was like, oh, I'm not trying to offend you. I just genuinely want to learn. I want to know because I'm not getting seen by these casting directors that I know are casting for the biggest roles in the UK. And I just didn't understand why. And I was with a Black agency at the time. So I was getting auditions for Men in Black in the US, for Women King, but in the UK, crickets. And I'm like, what is going on? So that's what was my frustration. When I spoke to him, he was like, wow. And then he gave me his email address. I asked for his email address. And I said, look, I just want you to look at my profile, look at my spotlight, look at my website, and let me know how I can improve. And that's how the conversation started. And then 6 months later, he invited me for an audition. And then me going to that audition, I wanted to cry because I was seeing all these women that I was like, I've never seen on TV before, but they all looked like me in some shape or form. And I thought this was beautiful. So I feel like if a lot of casting directors and producers have that same approach where they're not just looking at the people that went to RADA, or the people that are in the industry at the moment, which we are not even 1% in the UK on TV and film, especially not dark women, I feel like then they would be able to see a broader pool of talent, that beautiful talent that we have in the UK, without just going to the top 10 agencies, because a lot of us can't get there because they already put a barrier and say, oh, we have somebody that looks like you. You know, I got rejected from an agency once because they said they have someone look like me. When I went on their agency board, it was Michaela Cole.
Oh my goodness.
So
You don't look anything
don't look
alike.
anything alike. The only thing we have in common is we share the same birthday, which I didn't know. And we're both Ghanaian, but we
Yeah.
look nothing alike, you know? So yeah, it's a real problem in the UK and it's so frustrating. And that's why a lot of us end up going to the US and then they appreciate you.
But how do you feel about that? As somebody who's trying to pave their own way in the industry, obviously I think it helps that, you're making headway in the US. But if you really wanted to build an acting career in the UK, is there any hope? Like, obviously you've done it,
Yeah.
but for somebody coming up, is there any hope based on what you're saying?
I feel like no two situation is the same. I feel like my journey is going to be completely different to someone else's journey trying to start in the industry. All I can say is you have to put your best foot forward at all times, and you always have to try and be ready for that role. So I feel like you always have to prepare for what you've prayed for. And that is my motto. So I'm always going to make sure I'm prepared. I want to be in Black Panther. Okay, have I done combat training? Have I done fighting training? Am I going to make sure I'm working on my core to make sure my six pack is on point? So when they call me, I'm ready. You have to make sure, am I going to acting classes? Am I always utilizing those tools to make sure that I'm ready? Am I going to accent classes because I need to perfect my American accent if I am going to perform my best in the US? So you always have to constantly train, constantly. And I know the auditions sometimes are far and few, which is why I'm doing commercial modeling as well. But a lot of times I'm looking for actors, which is great. So I'm always looking at scripts. I'm always exercising, always looking at myself doing self takes at home, and always trying to be the best versions of be the best version of myself. So I always tell people go for it. Just know that this is not the easy way out, in terms of stardom, because I think it looks pretty when they see the end result, when they see the end of the road, but they don't see the graft, the grind, the years, the tears, the sleepless nights, the frustration, no money. It's very frustrating on your finances and sometimes on your mental health. So you have to make sure that you are disciplined, you have great people around you, try and have a mentor as well, and just make sure that you put your best foot forward. And I feel like once you do that, it's okay if you can step away and say, you know what, I tried it and this is not for me, because you just never know.
You're such a hard worker. You can hear like how much you've really put into this.
Yeah.
And your background, you studied criminal justice,
I
right?
studied criminal justice,
So
yeah.
how did you even get into acting?
Well, by force, my mum said no. I can't go to acting
Of course,
school.
that is true.
So I had no choice. But I've always been obsessed with criminal law, unsolved mysteries, crime watch. I was that weirdo at 8 years old.
Crime Watch like scarred me for life.
No, for me, I was like, who do I know? Like, I wanted to know somebody so I can collect the reward money. so, so for me, I always found those things interesting. I didn't find it scary at all. Like for me, I was such a curious child, and so for me, it just made sense. If I was going to do anything academically, and I actually enjoy, it would have been criminal justice.
Yeah.
Also wanted to do hairdressing as well, so I was going to go to hairdressing college. Mom said absolutely no as well. So by force, I did that, and I really did enjoy it because when I was doing my thesis and I was doing my dissertations, I really enjoyed it. So for me, I'm never going to do something that I don't enjoy unless it's going to be a part of my journey to where I want to go.
Yeah.
You know?
But how did you transition that? So prior to studying criminal justice,
Yeah.
were you already doing acting? Were you kind of
in
getting into
in
that
s-
space?
in school actually, because I always loved acting and I loved the form of it and I loved all these movies, but I never saw many people that looked like me. So apart from The Color Purple and Roots, at the time I didn't see anyone that looked like me. So for me, I didn't think that was where I wanted to go until my dad passed away, and then my tutor at the time got me to do dramas classes as a form of therapy. And that's when I genuinely fell in love with it. And I thought, wow, it was a form of escapism for me. I could be anyone but myself and I could escape my reality of what I was going through at the time. So that's how I fell into it. And that's how I fell in love with it. And it was just something that I couldn't shake off. So even when I was doing criminal justice, I was coming back and forth to London from Birmingham, um, doing short films, trying to update my show reel because I realized that's what you needed to get an agent at the time, to be on Spotlight, which is an actors agency that you have to be on the portal to be on to get representation as well. So it was all a kind of a catch-22. It was like, well, you need a show reel, but you don't have an agent, and you need the show reel to get an agent, but you don't have a show reel. So
Yeah.
unless you go to school, it makes it easier because they give you all the tools to start in the industry. So I would advise, if you can, go to
Mm.
acting school, or do some sort of short-term class. I did identity in the end. I went to identity back in the day. Lord knows how long that was now. But it was very useful for me because then that's when I realized the difference between theatre and film. And I realized actually my knack was TV and film because I could cry on cue. And that was something, again, that I've honed in with all my emotions. Um, the upset, the depression, everything that I was going through with my father at the time, I was able to hone into those emotions and utilize that into my acting. So yeah, so TV and film was great for me because I think I'm quite reserved naturally anyway. And so and theatre, you have to be more
Yeah.
theatrical. And
Yeah.
that I wasn't naturally that way inclined unless I'm with my friends in the bedroom, like taking a piss. But generally I'm just, yeah, very, very cool, very coy. And so yeah, so TV film was my neck.
How does one know if it's worth pursuing a career in acting?
I think you never know till you try.
I've always felt like I could be an actress.
And I feel like
But not, I feel like not seriously though. I'm sure my sister would be laughing at me right now. I feel like I would be a good actress, but honestly,
I
I
feel like
wouldn't.
presenting is a form of
I
acting
guess
because
so,
you have to be
yeah.
like, hi, you
Yeah,
know?
that's
So I feel
true.
like host and presenting is a form of acting anyway. And I feel like when you get better, the more you're on screen, you just really have to hone into those skills and just keep practicing. That's the only way you're going to get better.
Mhm. I love that. Right. I do want to touch on because you mentioned that your dad passed and that's kind of
Yeah.
how like you got into acting. But how did you, aside from the acting, what emotions were running through your mind and how did you process and heal, I guess, from the loss of your dad?
Oh, I guess I threw myself into sports. I didn't want to sit in my thoughts for too long because I felt like I was going crazy at the time. It was so sudden. He wasn't supposed to die. And so I think I felt some form of guilt because I requested that we go on a family trip. We've never been outside the UK before. So I was like, let's go somewhere fun. Let's do something and not go um, to Hanwell, Ealing, and go see Auntie or go Shepherd's Bush Market for the weekend or half term. Let's do something. And so he created this whole trip. And unfortunately, the last week is when he passed. So for me, it was very traumatic. I think I blamed myself, even though now as an adult, I know that wasn't my fault. Um, but there was just a lot going on at the time. I was 13. So as a teenager and in secondary school, and kids can be really cruel. Kids can be really cruel. So I was still forming friendships. And I think people didn't really know how to support or navigate that. So they were like, her father's passed, so just leave her alone.
Oh my gosh.
And so I was by myself. And so I just threw myself into sports. And I was doing running, I was doing 100 meters, 200 meters, netball. I got into street dancing. I even got into long jump, high jump. You name it, I was doing it. So I was busy 6 days a week. And so when I found acting, that was a complete different form of therapy for me, where I can actually be still, but then I could compartmentalize my emotions, how I was feeling, the anger, the resentment, yeah, just all these feelings that I was feeling, I was able to compartmentalize it and put it into a character. And so that's what I do with acting in general anyway, just with life experiences, we've all gone through heartache of some shape or form, whether it be death, whether it be heartache from partners, all of that stuff. So I just utilize my life experiences and I put into my work.
I really love that. And I
Yeah.
feel like you've just taken everything and now you've created Vanessa Vanderpuye and like you're doing all of this amazing stuff.
Thank
And I
you.
asked about your dad because I lost my dad in 2018, but obviously I was an adult then.
Yeah.
So I think the healing process is very different.
Yeah.
And I always say with loss, it's like the feeling of losing someone, it doesn't go away. I feel like life
No.
just carries on. Because especially I lost my dad before I got married, before I had kids as well. So
Yeah.
I always think sometimes like, oh, like I wonder what my dad will be like with my kids.
Honestly.
Stuff like that.
And that will happen because it's been 25 years now and I still have those moments that I'm like, man, like I wish he was here to see this. Like I wish he was here. I wonder what he would say. So yeah, I don't want to get emotional, but
Oh,
yeah,
so yeah.
that's you still have those moments and yeah, but again, you just look at the good times and yeah, as I said, I'm just really good at just compartmentalizing that and I'm just happy that I had those memories and yeah, I can speak about that to my future kids when I do have children.
And that you're blessed to even have a good dad as well.
Absolutely.
Because yeah, my dad was amazing. Girl, we're not gonna get too into it.
I know.
But
Outside into therapy.
our time is like, I just wanted to ask actually before I wrap up, like any advice to somebody who maybe is even experiencing a loss of their own, like how to navigate that in a healthy way and how to move forward. And then actually, I'll ask that first before I go into another question because it'll be too
Okay.
much.
Well, I would say therapy is definitely important. I feel like back then it wasn't a thing for our family as an African household.
Yeah, that's true.
So I feel like that's actually really important because you'll be surprised what feelings children, kids, teenagers are absorbing. And you just want them to be able to navigate that in a healthy way. I think I was blessed in a sense that my teachers could see that she needed a bit more time and they knew that I needed a bit more focus on because I think I was just mute. I didn't really talk and I would just draw. That was one of my outlets as well. So I'm blessed that I had people around me in school that were able to see that because my mum, bless her, it happened and she wasn't working and she had 3 kids that she had to look after all of a sudden. She didn't even drive. So she had to learn all of those things and those life skills and try and make money and so we didn't lose the house and all of these awful things. And me as a child, I'm absorbing that. I'm like, how can I help? And as a 13-year-old, I shouldn't be thinking like that. So I think therapy is definitely important as a family and even individually as well. I think that was very important because I think that would have been so good for all of us to do as well.
Yeah.
Um, and and yeah, and just having a great support system around you as well. So I was lucky that I had great family and friends as well that would pick me up, take me to netball, take me to classes, just take me out for something to eat and just check in and just make sure we're okay. My auntie came from Ghana for 2.5 years to come and stay with us, just so we can have some sort of discipline and some normality as well. So yeah, it's definitely not easy, but it definitely gets easier every day. And yeah, I think that's the best way to deal with grief and
Yeah.
talk about it, pray about it as well. I think as much as I leaned on God at the same time, I questioned him a lot.
Yeah.
So, and I know that is normal because I basically was like, I don't get this. Why would you do that? Why would you take him away from us now? Why would you do this? But at the same time, in a funny way, it brought me closer to him. And I was able to read on death and read on his love and his heart. And just knowing that it was just his time.
It's so true. I think that's brilliant advice.
Yeah.
And leaning on God 100%. therapy, especially in Black families,
Oh gosh.
African Black families. I say it to my mum even till today. I'm like, Mum, I think we should do family therapy. Like, I know we're all adults, but yeah, I think it's so important.
Yeah.
Vanessa, you're gonna have to come back on.
I'm gonna
Sorry,
have to.
we've not had enough time here. There's a lot to
I know this has really been very therapeutic. He made me cry. Like, ah,
Honestly, I'm just glad that we got into because I know that people listening to what you're saying, whether they want to get into acting or not, but everyone at some point, whether now or in the future, has or will experience a loss. And I
absolutely.
do feel like sometimes, especially in Black communities, we don't really talk about it. And a lot of people, especially when my dad died, they were saying things like, oh, you have to be strong for your mum. But I think that's a really horrible thing to say, to be
Right.
honest,
Right.
because I feel like it's okay to go through the emotions that you go through
Yeah.
because that's the only way to process it. Like,
Absolutely.
you've literally just lost your dad.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna try and be strong,
Yeah.
So, what project are you working on?
Oh, so right now I'm just back to the grind of auditioning. So there's nothing that I'm working on per se. There's a few things that may be in the works. So hopefully I can talk about that soon once we've got the green light and everything. But yeah, it's really exciting because I just recently came back from the Ghana Movie Awards. And there was a lot of Nigerian producers there and everything as well. So I'd love to actually work in Africa. So God willing, back home, something is gonna come through that. So yeah, so you just have to just wait and see. But right now, yeah, I'm just manifesting the roles that I want.
Yeah.
Whether it be Bridgerton, anything Shonda Rhimes land.
Shonda, I hope you're listening to this.
Shondaland, please call me. Call my agent. Just know that I'm ready, okay? And then equally Black Panther 3, like just anything. I just feel like there's so much great content that is being created right now and films that have been adapted, books that have been adapted, that I'd love to really get my hands into. So yeah, so I know that this is my testimony hasn't finished yet. I'm just getting started.
Honestly, and you've already done such amazing stuff. And I,
Thank
like I
you.
said, I can see you in all of that. But how can people connect with you so that they can continue to follow your journey and they can say, actually, I knew about her before she was in Bridgerton. How can they follow you?
Okay, so in 2025, this is my pledge and hold me accountable. I'm going to be more intentional online and through my socials. But yes, please follow me on Instagram, Vivi Brownskin, on Twitter. What else is there? YouTube, it's all the same. But yeah, I will be updating my platform soon with everything that I'm doing. When I go to LA, my audition processes, and how I just navigate the space when I'm working and trying to get work.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Vanessa. I've
Thank
really enjoyed our
you.
conversation.
Me too. Thank you so much.
No problem.